The Chiefs did it again. They beat the Chargers in another nail-biter, thanks to a game-winning field goal. Mahomes worked his magic with another clutch drive, but not everything was good news. Two players left the game with injuries, and both play positions that were already a concern for the team. In this video, I'll talk about those injuries, share updates we have so far, and break down key takeaways and highlights from the game. Plus, I'll cover a new signing the Chiefs made today amidst all the injury drama. So let's dive right in. This game was classic Chiefs, down to the wire, heart-pounding, and hair-pulling. The Chargers won the coin toss and decided to defer. Right away, we got to see Nico Riccio, the newly signed wide receiver, out there for kickoff returns alongside Samaje Perine. Nico didn't return the opening kickoff, but he was promoted to the active roster after Monsieur Man was placed on injured reserve with a knee injury. Speaking of Nico, he did a solid job in his debut. All he had to do was catch the ball cleanly and avoid fumbling, unlike Kadarius Toney against the Browns last week. Nico had 2 kickoff returns and 3 punt returns, racking up 34 yards, with his longest return being 21 yards. Shout out to him for stepping up when the team needed it. Another player who deserves mention is DJ Humphries, the Chiefs' new left tackle. He's the 3rd starting left tackle the team has used this season. Last night was his debut after recovering from a torn ACL late last season, and honestly, he held his own. DJ Humphries had a tough start, but let's cut him some slack. The guy had no training camp, no preseason, and maybe 1 padded practice before being thrown into the fire against an elite Chargers defense. They're the #1 scoring defense right now, with one of the best pass rushes in the league. It's no surprise that DJ gave up 8 pressures to 5 different defenders, according to Next Gen Stats. It's a mix of the Chargers being excellent, DJ shaking off rust, and the growing pains we all expected. But what caught us off guard was DJ leaving the game late in the 4th quarter with a hamstring injury. We'll talk about that injury in a bit, but first, let's get back to the game. The opening drive didn't go as planned. It ended after a tough drop by Baylor Cupp. If you're wondering, who's Baylor Cupp? He's a tight end from the practice squad. He was called up for this game because the Chiefs only have 2 active tight ends, Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, with the rest on injured reserve. On 3rd and 10, things got worse. The offensive line completely collapsed, and Mahomes was sacked with nowhere to go. That led to a 47-yard field goal by Matthew Wright, the Chiefs' 3rd kicker in about a month. Harrison Butker and Spencer Schneider are both on IR, so the team has been rotating kickers. It's not funny, but sometimes you just have to laugh through the pain. After that field goal, things got wild. On the Chargers' first play, Leo Chenal absolutely suplexed Gus Edwards. It was like watching pure power in action. Leo's one of the strongest guys in the NFL, pound for pound. Right after, Turk Wharton sacked Justin Herbert as he tried to escape the pocket, setting up a long 3rd and 16. But of course, the Chargers converted it with Quentin Johnston making a clutch catch. The action kept heating up as Nick Bolton delivered a huge hit on Quentin Johnston. Johnston held onto the ball even through contact, but since he was a defenseless receiver, Bolton got flagged for a personal foul, 15 yards. Fortunately for the Chiefs, a holding penalty on the Chargers pushed them back 10 yards. Leo Chenal stepped up again, blowing up a screenplay, and Justin Herbert couldn't scramble for the first down. Herbert walked off limping after that play and got his ankle wrapped up, but it didn't seem to slow him down for the rest of the game. This led to the first of 9 punts in what would become a back-and-forth defensive battle. The Chiefs' next drive showed some promise. A 13-yard screen to Kareem Hunt and a quick pass to DeAndre Hopkins helped move the chains. But Mahomes got hit on back-to-back throws, forcing Kansas City to punt for the first time. Credit to Matt Araiza for a beauty of a punt, which was downed by Nazi Johnson at the 2-yard line. It didn't matter though. Just a few plays later, Herbert found Joshua Palmer for a 38-yard strike, with Jaden Hicks trailing in coverage. The Chargers kept the momentum going, but Quentin Johnston nearly fumbled on a screen. He was ruled down, and Jalen Reagor got wrapped up quickly on third down by Trent McDuffie, forcing another punt. The Chiefs' offense struggled to find rhythm, going just 5 plays for 21 yards. Mahomes scrambled for a first down but got sacked on 3rd and 4 by Joey Bosa. Another big stop for the Chargers' defense. After a bobbled punt recovered by the returner, Darius Davis, Herbert nearly connected with Joshua Palmer on what could have been an 80-yard touchdown. Thankfully for the Chiefs, the ball sailed just a yard too far. On the next play, Trent McDuffie deflected a pass on a blitz, forcing yet another Chargers punt. Nico Riggio then electrified the crowd with an incredible 21-yard punt return, setting the Chiefs up with excellent field position. Juju Smith-Schuster made a big play after being left wide open in the middle of the field. He caught a pass from Mahomes and turned it into a 26-yard gain. But just as things seemed to be picking up, Mahomes got sacked for the 3rd time, this time by Derwin James on a blitz. James slipped past both DJ Humphries and Isaiah Pacheco to take down Mahomes quickly. The good news? That was the last sack Mahomes took all game. The bad news? He still got hit a whopping 14 times. After 10 minutes left in the second quarter, though, the O-line held up better, keeping Mahomes on his feet. On this drive, the Chiefs managed to reach the red zone but couldn't convert on 3rd and 5 from the 15-yard line. Mahomes once again was hit as he threw. Matthew Wright stepped up and nailed a 33-yard field goal, putting Kansas City ahead 6-0. The Chargers almost responded immediately. Darius Davis nearly broke loose for a massive kick return, but was thankfully stopped before it could turn into a disaster for the Chiefs. LA's offense didn't do much after that. Vidal couldn't reel in a quick pass on 3rd down, forcing another punt. The Chiefs' next drive didn't fare much better. They went 3 and out when Mahomes targeted DeAndre Hopkins deep. Although there was clear contact on Hopkins' route, enough to slow him down, the referees didn't throw a flag, citing the ball as uncatchable. While I get the uncatchable ruling, Hopkins' route was clearly disrupted after 5 yards, and it probably should have been called for illegal contact or holding. People often say the Chiefs get all the calls, but this time it didn't seem to matter much. The Chargers had to punt again after a holding penalty wiped out a big Quentin Johnston catch. On that play, Nick Bolton hit Herbert as he threw, and Herbert went down in visible pain. The medical staff had to help him off the field, focusing on his knee. Thankfully, Herbert was able to return and finish the game, so it didn't appear to be a serious injury. Overall, the first half was a snooze fest with 8 punts. Both teams were essentially playing ping-pong with the ball, trading possessions without much excitement. But just when things felt dull, the Chiefs brought some life to their final drive of the half. Kansas City marched 77 yards in just 9 plays, finally breaking through. On 3rd and 7, Mahomes took another hit as he threw but connected with Worthy on a shallow crossing route. Worthy turned it upfield for an 11-yard gain. Juju then helped draw a defensive pass interference. DPI call up the left sideline, moving the ball further downfield. Travis Kelce got involved too, catching a pass that brought the Chiefs inside the 20-yard line. Shortly after, Samaje Perine nearly fumbled the handoff but held on, gaining enough yards to move the chains. The drive ended with a beautiful 9-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins, who fell backward into the end zone. That score put Kansas City up 13-0 with just 47 seconds left in the half. The Chargers tried to respond quickly before halftime, but their plan backfired. On the last play of the half, tight end Will Deal caught a pass in the middle of the field but took a big hit from Justin Reed. Deal didn't return in the second half due to a shoulder injury. It was a questionable decision by the Chargers to throw over the middle with no timeouts and the clock expiring. They not only ended up with no points but also lost one of Herbert's favorite targets. Going into the second half, it felt like the Chiefs had a real chance to blow the game open. If the defense could get an early stop, Kansas City could push the lead to 20-0 and take complete control. The second half took a dramatic turn as the Chargers finally found their rhythm, making the game uncomfortably close for the rest of the way. I'll dive into the thrilling ending, some concerning takeaways from this matchup, and a new cornerback signing by the Chiefs. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor, Factor. If you want to crush your nutrition goals effortlessly, Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals straight to your door. These meals are ready to eat in just 2 minutes, saving you from grocery shopping, meal prep, and kitchen cleanup. Factor offers over 35 meals every week, with options like keto, protein plus, vegan, and vegetarian, as well as 60 plus add-ons like breakfast items, smoothies, and juices. I've been using Factor for over a year now, and I'm still impressed. This week, I went with keto meals and absolutely loved the Tex-Mex beef bowl. It's my favorite. The chicken piccata and black pepper and sage pork chop were amazing too. If you want to try Factor, head to factor75.com or click the link below. Use code 50HBTC to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code 50HBTC at factor75.com for 50% off and free shipping. Now back to the game. The second half kicked off with the Chargers making adjustments on offense, and suddenly they were a whole new team. Things were about to get intense. The Chargers had a forgettable first half, doing little more than punting the ball 5 times. Their final drive before halftime ended in confusion and disappointment, but coming out of the locker room for the third quarter, they found their spark. They began with a mix of quick passes and solid runs, setting up a crucial 4th and 2. Joshua Palmer came through with a clutch 15-yard catch to keep the drive alive. That play, however, followed an odd timeout called by Chris Jones, leaving Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo visibly confused on the sidelines. Jones seemed to signal he wasn't hearing the communication properly, but it didn't matter much in the end, as the Chargers converted the play anyway. Chris Jones quickly redeemed himself, though, by completely blowing up a jet sweep attempt to Darius Davis, a fantastic play by the CEO of Sack Nation. Still, on 2nd and 16, Stone Smart, the tight end filling in for the injured Will Deal, made a high-flying catch to bring the Chargers inside the 10-yard line. Gus the Bus Edwards finished the 13-play, 8-minute drive with a touchdown, cutting the Chiefs' lead to 13-7. Mahomes and the Chiefs had a chance to respond, but their drive stalled almost immediately. They went 3 and out, unable to convert on a 3rd and 1, putting their defense right back on the field. The Chargers capitalized on the momentum. Herbert took a deep shot to Quentin Johnston, and Justin Reed was flagged for defensive pass interference, moving the ball 39 yards upfield. Then Stone Smart struck again, this time beating Nick Bolton for a 24-yard gain up the left side. In just 2 plays, Louisiana found themselves at the 11-yard line and knocking on the door. On 3rd and 3, Herbert had nearly 5 seconds in a clean pocket. He found Quentin Johnston wide open for the Chargers' 2nd touchdown of the night, giving them their first lead. The extra point made it 14-13, with the Chiefs now trailing by 1 and just over 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. It's wild how quickly the momentum shifted, and honestly, I didn't love how the Chiefs seemed caught off guard. Life in the NFL can change in an instant, and just like that, the Chiefs began to show signs of life on their next drive. Samaje Perine kicked things off with an incredible move on a 3rd and 3, picking up 16 yards. Key catches by Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster pushed the ball into Chargers territory, and a series of strong runs by Isaiah Pacheco got the Chiefs inside the red zone. Then came a setback. Trey Smith was flagged for unnecessary roughness, turning a manageable 3rd and 1 into a daunting 3rd and 16. Mahomes took a deep shot down the left sideline to DeAndre Hopkins, who nearly pulled it in. However, Hopkins was hit hard, dropped the ball, and looked shaken up. Thankfully, he returned to the game later, so there's no indication of a serious injury. It's worth noting the inconsistency in officiating. That hit on Hopkins didn't draw a flag, even though it resembled similar plays where the Chiefs were penalized, like Justin Reed's tackle against the Panthers or Nick Bolton's earlier hit in this game. Still, Matthew Wright knocked through another field goal, giving the Chiefs a slim 2-point lead. On the Chargers' next drive, Nick Bolton delivered a crushing sack on Herbert, pushing them back to a 2nd and 18. But Quentin Johnston turned a simple check-down pass into a 20-yard gain, thanks to his speed and agility. Unfortunately, Chiefs cornerback Joshua Williams got banged up on the play and was taken to the locker room for evaluation with a chest injury. He was listed as questionable to return. Andy Reid later shared that Williams was feeling better, but was meeting with the team's head trainer, Rick Burkholder, to assess his condition. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, as the Chiefs are already thin at cornerback, a situation they addressed by signing a veteran defensive back earlier today. Meanwhile, the Chargers kept their momentum. They converted a critical 3rd and 7 with a pass to Joshua Palmer and marched down to Kansas City's 17-yard line. Fortunately, the Chiefs' defense stepped up, with Turk Wharton recording his 2nd sack of the night. This play helped stall LA's drive, forcing them to settle for a 37-yard field goal by Cameron Dicker, giving the Chargers a narrow 17-16 lead. With just over 4 minutes left in the game, 2 timeouts, and the 2-minute warning in their back pocket, the Chiefs got the ball back at their own 40-yard line. The stage was set for a thrilling finish. Cameron Dicker's kickoff turned out to be a bizarre misstep. He attempted a low-line drive but completely whiffed, leaving the ball to bounce far short of its intended target zone. The Chiefs took over and quickly found themselves facing a 3rd and 10 after 2 incompletions. In typical Mahomes fashion, he extended the play by stepping up and slightly to the left in the pocket, finding Xavier Worthy in the middle of the field for a clutch 14-yard gain. This play wouldn't have been possible without Samaje Perine, who delivered a heroic block on Derwin James, absorbing a huge hit but giving Mahomes just enough time to make the throw. Perine, you're a legend for that one. Unfortunately, the celebration was short-lived. On the very next play, left tackle DJ Humphrey, tasked with protecting Mahomes' blind side, pulled up while attempting a block. He immediately started limping, clearly favoring one leg before going down on one knee. Humphrey was eventually helped to the sideline, visibly in pain. He was ruled questionable to return with what appeared to be a hamstring injury and didn't re-enter the game. This injury raises significant concerns. Humphrey was seen as the solution at left tackle heading into the playoffs, making his health critical for the Chiefs' postseason run. Andy Reid addressed the situation, saying Humphrey was feeling better, but without specifics. Whether better means slight improvement or something more substantial remains to be seen. Humphrey was scheduled for an MRI to determine the severity of the injury. The timing of his return to action may have played a role. The Chiefs had initially planned to hold Humphrey out until the Browns game on December 15th, giving him more time to ramp up. However, due to inconsistency and blindside protection, he was thrust into action sooner than expected. Without a training camp, preseason reps, or significant preparation, Humphrey was vulnerable. Let's hope this injury turns out to be a minor strain requiring just a few weeks of rest rather than a season-ending blow. With Humphrey out, backup lineman Wiley stepped in and held his own on the final drive. Mahomes, showing his trademark mobility, used his legs to pick up a critical first down, and Isaiah Pacheco followed by converting another third down. The Chiefs kept moving the chains with a couple of strong runs by Kareem Hunt, but they found themselves facing 3rd and 7. Meanwhile, the Chargers had used all their timeouts, and with the 2-minute warning behind them, the Chiefs were in a critical spot. If LA could stop them here, Kansas City would have to attempt a field goal, putting them up by just 2. The Chargers would then have a little over a minute to march down the field and potentially kick a game-winning field goal of their own. This is when Patrick Mahomes decided to make something happen. With Andy Reid and the rest of the coaching staff looking on, Mahomes ran a play that had him moving right, but at the last second, he dodged pressure by juking left and found a wide-open Travis Kelce for the crucial first down. Kelce was actually supposed to run a corner route, but he improvised, just hanging out in an open space, and it worked perfectly. Mahomes to Kelce, a classic combination that never fails to deliver. With that first down, the Chiefs were in control and able to kneel down a couple of times before calling a timeout, with just 1 second left on the clock. Matthew Wright then had to make a 31-yard field goal to win the game. The kick was a bit of a scare, as the ball veered left and hit the upright but still bounced in for the victory. This marked the 3rd time this season that the Chiefs have won with a game-winning field goal, and it was their 15th consecutive one-score win dating back to last year. It was also their 10th one-score win this season. The Chiefs now sit at 12-1. Clinching the AFC West for the 9th consecutive year, and are a game and a half ahead of the Buffalo Bills, who lost to the Rams in a wild 42-44 game. The Chiefs managed to win a division game twice in one season, and I genuinely believe that if they had needed a touchdown at the end, they would have scored. That's what makes this team so intriguing. On 3rd downs, especially with the game on the line, nobody does it better, but on 1st and 2nd downs, they're rather average. No big explosive plays, yet they still get the job done. They converted 8 of 15 3rd downs, which is a 53% success rate against the 2nd best 3rd down defense in the league. Mahomes played well when he wasn't being pressured or hit while throwing. A key factor in this win was his 0 interceptions. In fact, neither team turned the ball over. Kelce and Worthy led in receptions, with D-Hop not far behind with 4 catches and a touchdown. Juju, Noah Gray, and every running back also had some catches. Speaking of running backs, Pacho led the night with 14 carries, while Hunt had 5. Last week they split carries evenly, but this week Pacho took the lead. It's interesting to see Pacho stepping up, with Hunt perhaps being eased into a backseat role to rest him for the playoffs. The Chiefs averaged 3.8 yards per carry on the night, which includes Mahomes' 4 carries for 17 yards. Despite being sacked 3 times and hit around 14 times, Mahomes came out injury-free, which was a relief. On defense, the Chiefs shut out the Chargers in the first half but allowed 17 points in the second half without Ladd McConkey. Still, allowing just 17 points should have been enough for the offense to win comfortably. Yet again, they pulled out another close victory. It's impressive, but it definitely stresses me out. The Chargers had a few decent individual performances, with Palmer, Smart, and Johnston all finishing with 50 or more yards. but the Chiefs held this run-first LA team to around 4 yards per carry. The Chargers went 6 for 13 on third downs. The pass rush got to Herbert 3 times, but there were also times when Herbert had way too much time in the pocket to make plays. The front four needs to step up. Remember, the Chargers' offensive line is still pretty new. As the Chiefs get ready to face the Browns this Sunday at noon with Jameis Winston confirmed as the starting quarterback, it's going to be an interesting matchup, depending on how bad Humphrey's hamstring injury and Joshua Williams' chest injury are. We might see W. Morris starting at left tackle and Nazeeh Johnson in the secondary again. However, there's some good news on the Chiefs roster. They signed a familiar face today. Cornerback Steven Nelson was brought back to the practice squad. He passed his physical and is now once again a Kansas City Chief. Nelson was originally drafted by the Chiefs in the 3rd round of 2015, and after his 4-year rookie contract, he played for the Steelers, Eagles, and most recently the Texans. In 2023, Nelson had 12 pass breakups and 4 interceptions, which is double the number of interceptions the Chiefs' leader in picks, L'Jarius Sneed, had 2. Nelson has actually played better since leaving Bob Sutton's defense, and he posted his second-best career coverage grade last season with the Texans. It will take some time for Nelson to get back into the swing of things, especially since he's entering a defensive system he wasn't part of when Spagnuolo took over in 2018. But as the Chiefs prepare for the playoffs, having Nelson on the roster as a depth option is smart. A veteran presence never hurts. I think Brett Veach and the team deserve credit for trying to address their roster's weaknesses. While I don't think Steven Nelson will be a game changer, I'm willing to give him another shot. I understand he had some rough seasons with the Chiefs, but I'm going to chalk that up to the overall struggles of Bob Sutton's defense. Let me know your thoughts on the signing of Steven Nelson and your main takeaways from this game in the comments below. For more info on the signing, I went live to dive deeper into my thoughts on it, so you can check that out here. Until next time, let's go. How about those Chiefs?